As the President said, the first duty of government is to protect the safety of our citizens. And we're here to explain the initiative to combat rising violent crime in a number of our cities. Our goal is to help save lives. To date, we have sent over 200 federal agents to Kansas City. We are directing a comparable number of agents to augment Chicago's existing task forces, and we are providing an additional 35 agents to Albuquerque. This is a different kind of operation, obviously, than the tactical teams we use to defend against riots and mob violence. And we're going to continue to confront mob violence. But the operations we're discussing today are very different.
The campaign targeted intellectual property and confidential business information held by the private sector, including COVID-19 related treatment, testing, and vaccines. The hackers also targeted the online accounts of non-government organizations and individual dissidents, clergy, and democratic and human rights activists in the United States, China, and Hong Kong. China is using cyber intrusions as part of its rob, replicate, and replace strategy to technological development.
And one thing that I found interesting looking at their case, it wasn't just against American companies. You know, they hacked into companies in at least 10 countries around the world, but what they were doing against their fellow citizens in China as well. For instance, the Chinese government they shut down a Christian house church. And within a week, these two individuals were hacking into this Chinese Christian pastor's his email account, gathered those emails, submitted it to the Chinese government, and the Chinese government then arrested that pastor. We have a duty to enforce federal law, and we're going to enforce that federal law. We are not going to tolerate attacks on our people and our property.
"55 years ago, President Lyndon Johnson launched the earlier Commission on Law Enforcement and the Administration of Justice, and in 1967 they rendered their report, which launched a number of innovations and new concepts in public safety and crime control. The Commission in 1965 and 67 had that sense of the importance of upgrading the status and professionalism of the police officer. And so in the ensuing years, we've come a long ways in that regard, but there is still much to be done.